Welcome to the Fam Bam, episode 1 here. I'm Corey.
And I'm Jordan.
And our first episode's going to be more on getting ready for the baby. So, first-time parents here, got a 1-year-old. It's been a long journey so far. We need to bring you guys up to speed on some of these episodes up and coming. We've been married for, how long was that, Jordan?
5 years this summer.
5 years this summer. Perfect. We are, well, like I said, we are first-time parents. We do live in rural America. It's a little bit different about us. We don't live in a big city. The biggest town, where we go shop and stuff like that, it's about 90 miles away. So we're right in the heart of America. We both work full-time jobs. I work in the ag sector. Jordan?
I'm a special education teacher at the elementary school.
Perfect. And so, our first one is kind of getting ready to have a baby. Kind of talk about some stuff when we were going through these things in our life, kind of getting ready for our kid. So I think where we need to start out with this journey is our first initial thoughts on having a baby. So just to give you a little background on my side of stuff real quick is before we had ours, I had very little experience with young kids.
Accurate.
Just very little experience. Had some cousins that were younger, cousins having kids, things like that, but nobody really close.
I will say that you were good with kids. Like when we started dating, I had niece and nephews fairly young, and you've always been good with kids, even though you didn't have a lot of experience.
Yeah, I like kids as long as they minded, honestly. So no, I did like that piece of it, but just as far as a background, I was kind of coming into this pretty blind. Now, being married to you, we've had we've had nieces and nephews and things like that. So that's opened that door up for me. But until then, I just a point in my family, just was not in that spot. So,
and I'm kind of the opposite, where I am the youngest of my family, but I've always been around kids. I've had older cousins that have had kids kind of close to my age or enough difference that I would play with them. I grew up helping my daycare provider when I was, junior high and high school with kids, and babysat, and I became an aunt in high school. And so my world, I feel like, has been filled with kids, especially when that's my job right now too. I live and breathe the children. But so it's a little bit different than your side of things, where, when you're a first-time parent, you really don't know anything, but I feel like I probably had a little bit more knowledge on taking care of a child than you did.
And I think being a teacher, an elementary teacher, definitely exposed you even more to that. So you also had that working for us. So we're kind of
behavioral
opposites.
Side.
Yes.
Coming up.
That's one thing I've struggled with.
Yeah.
I'm getting there, but it's hard for me to comprehend some of that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. We'll get you there.
Yes. So, the next thing, I think we need to go through, that's usually it can be a little controversial, but just some family reveal stuff, just to give a quick story on how did we tell the grandparents and the families, kind of that time frame, stuff of that sort.
We ended up telling your parents, and then my parents and my sister and her family, and then FaceTimed my brother later. But we told them we were almost 7 weeks, I think. I would prefer to have waited another week or so to tell them. But it ended up working out. It was Father's Day, and that's just the timing that it worked out. So I was anxious and excited to tell our families. I know it's something that they have been looking forward to anxiously, especially your parents, since your parents have never been grandparents before our child. I
Yes, I think obviously we had a vacation that summer that
Yes.
sped stuff up. We were going with my parents on a big trip to Hawaii, so we wanted to make our public announcement there. We wanted to plan it, not that we were going to say it there on the vacation, but we wanted to plan it during that vacation. We thought it was special, probably one of the only times in our lives we're going to go there. So we just wanted to make that more memorable as well. But really, so I'll talk on my side. So really what we did was, obviously we tailored both of them towards Father's Day. So just real quick on when we went to my parents on Father's Day, we had Dad a gift, and then we actually had the sonogram pictures in a little box. We didn't even wrap it or anything, but we just kind of gave it to him and acted like it was the second gift. And anyway, he opened it up. And the whole deal was kind of comical of how he reacted, because he had to keep it secret yet because my mom hadn't seen it. And so he had to, basically, he didn't even take it out of the box to look at it. He just seen it in the box and was like, oh my, I think his words were actually golly gee.
Mm-hmm.
Well, golly gee is what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up, he shut the box quick, handed it to Mom. And then, Mom's like, oh my goodness, congrats. And all that stuff. One of the cool things I think is good, if you're clever or want to do this, not that if you're clever or not, but if you want to do this, and I think this was something that we did that we still look back on, is we still love looking at the reaction. We taped each one of those.
Yeah.
We secretly taped it.
So fun.
I got a new camera for us going to Hawaii. It was an action camera, and so I was just testing it out and stuff. And so it was pretty inconspicuous. And it taped the whole thing on both of these. So that is one thing to keep in mind. If you can make it inconspicuous, if you can act like you're on your phone or whatever, that is definitely a memory in the memory book.
Yeah, the everyone's reactions go so quickly that it's fun to rewatch that video to look at every person's reactions. Yeah, so it was fun to do your family, and then we hit the road and went to my parents for Father's Day. And my brother lives about 7 hours away, and I didn't think it was going to be possible to get him nonchalantly on FaceTime with my parents and my sister there without them knowing, what's going on. So we figured we would just tell my sister's family and my parents, and then we would FaceTime my brother after that. My dad, we got a card, and I signed the card, love, Corey Jordan and baby Welch. And I told everybody, I said, Dad, I found a card that fits you perfectly. It's really funny. I want you to read it to everybody. So we tried, that was a way to get everyone in the room and to be listening and quiet. When there's 3 kids running around, it's hard to get everyone's attention. So my dad read the card out loud, didn't read who it was from, and then kind of looked up and was like, what? And I said, read it out loud. And he read it. And then everyone put the 2 and 2 together that we were having a baby. It was really fun. Everyone's excited. And then you get all the congratulations and when are you due and all these things. Now, thankfully, I was never sick with our baby. Very, very thankful for that. So we really weren't in a time crunch of having to share that way. I know some people that are sick and it is a lot harder to hide. So they tend to tell people a little bit sooner just because they're going to figure it out. But we didn't have that. It just kind of worked out with Father's Day.
Well, I would say, I know it's not really on our agenda, but just to hit on that really quick of probably one of the most difficult things was, when you invited friends over to the house, you had to get really creative, especially if you're coming over and they're drinking alcohol and they're offering alcohol. We just kind of had to have stuff planned.
Yeah.
So
that was hard.
we would pour Diet Pepsi in there without the alcohol, saying, hey, here's my drink. Look at me. I'm drinking, rather than, because it gets really suspicious. I feel like with our small friends group, if somebody's not drinking,
and they typically do.
I mean, either they're not feeling very well, or they either had a really late night the night before, or you're pregnant.
And I have never been much of a drinker anyway, so I don't think any of our friends not seeing me drink isn't really a red flag, I guess you could say. But yes, it does get kind of tricky when you know that you're going to be going out and there might be alcohol involved and you have to somehow hide it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I think one of the topics we're going to get into more in a later episode of kind of picking some of these things, but baby showers. We did have baby showers. Just to hit on it really quick, we did not have a gender reveal. We going into this, we had both planned. We had a plan, right? Quotations, we'll leave it at that. We did want to find out on the first one, so we were more prepared. Whether that was a boy or a girl, we felt like we wanted to be prepared and expect that. And then if we had any others after that, then they would be surprised because at that point, we would kind of have a grasp of it anyway. That was
already have a trial run.
Yeah, that was our original thought. We ended up not finding out. Jordan got talked into by one of her good friends of not finding out. Looking back, how what do you think?
I am so glad that we waited. I honestly try to push that on everyone that I meet that I find out is pregnant and it's their first one. It really didn't bother me to wait. Now, it drove my sister insane. She wanted to buy things. She's excited. But now for me, I just think it was a extra prize at the end, I guess you could say. I was super excited to just be surprised. As my best friend had said, like, I can't even remember her exact words, but it was just after going through labor and you get that surprise, whether it's a boy and girl, that whole time that you've been building up anxiousness and nervousness and excitement the whole 9 months, and then it's finally here, was so worth it. I would do it for every future kid we have. I think. What were your thoughts? I mean, I know that you didn't necessarily care about finding out with the first one. I know you wanted to at least have one to be a surprise, but were you kind of on board with that?
Yeah, I once again, I really didn't care. I was kind of leaving that up to you. I was fine either way. I mean, what am I going to do? I feel like I didn't have a say in it anyway, honestly. But I mean, I really didn't care. I was fine with having a gender reveal piece, or I was fine with not. I mean, there's excitement in both of those. I mean, whatever you guys feel like, if you feel like you want to be prepared, there's nothing wrong with gender reveal parties.
Oh, no.
I think, if you ask people who haven't found out, they're always going to tell you, do not find out. That's one of life's mysteries that you may never get it again, or you only have, one,
a
two,
true
three.
surprise,
Yes.
I think that, what was it? Something you said about. I lost it. About the gender reveals. Oh, I am typically a very planner type person. I'm black and white. I like to plan. I like to organize. I like to have a heads up. So that's why I really thought I wanted to find out with the first one. And it really, it surprised me that I was as calm as I was, not knowing anything. It was hard if I found something really cute while we were shopping. It's like, I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, so I don't want to buy it. But as far as planning goes, if you're one that thinks, I have to know, I have to organize, I have to have everything ready, it's okay. Like I guess I'm giving a way to say, like, it's okay to still be planned and still be prepared while also choosing to wait if you want to. Then you have backup people to go and get extra stuff if you need it after the baby's here.
Yeah, and I think that's one of those things, that we didn't necessarily realize is, all of the planning that goes into it. I mean, you talk about baby showers, you talk about programs, different like governmental programs, hospital programs,
child classes.
Yes, there's even training too. There's plenty of help out there. Any sort of, friends or relatives or anybody you want to talk to, maybe it's even coworkers, talking to them about, their
Yeah.
children and how they did things and stuff of that sort. Now, if you go and ask like our parents,
Oh, it's different. Completely different.
they are way, way out of date, right?
Yeah.
So you got to have someone somewhat relative, right, of how they did stuff.
And even my sister had kids young. And so my nephews are 10 now. So it's been, even for her, it's been a while since she's been pregnant, that I had close friends. I was pregnant alongside two of my very close friends, and both of them had children before. And then, so it's always nice to have friends that have kids that can help you answer a lot of those questions. I don't know how many times I texted my friends, is this normal? Is this okay? What do I do about this? What type of bassinet should I get? All these random questions. To have that support from your friends or family or coworkers, that is definitely helpful in this time of everything is unknown.
Yeah, and you may be uncomfortable, talking about some of that stuff. I would say for the most part, most people, they're usually happy. Like looking now,
Oh, absolutely.
Anybody asking us, it's like, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
exactly. We'll help you out.
All my friends and my coworkers, once you kind of, and not even the awkwardness, but like they've been through it before, so they know what the unknown is and the questions that you have. And so anything is not, I'm not going to say anything gross on this podcast, but if you have, yet. But if you have questions about stuff, like don't feel free to ask them. They've been through it and they know. My doctor is also phenomenal. So he was one that I could ask anything and I felt super comfortable with him. But
yeah. And so, so a lot of people asking, training, taking baby classes, stuff like that.
Did we do it? No.
No. Yeah. Long story short, we did not.
We did not take any classes.
Was there any particular reason we didn't?
So we doctored at a different hospital than the town that we live in. And so there was classes at our local hospital. I personally didn't feel comfortable going there and getting these free classes and touring the hospital when I knew I would not be giving birth in that hospital unless there was an emergency. So I didn't necessarily go there. And at the hospital that we did deliver at, they had online or in person ones, but it was over an hour away. So we could have done the virtual trainings, but I guess with work and trying to plan to be gone, I just didn't have time for it.
Yeah, and I mean, once again, we asked a couple of your friends, and they're like, yeah, we didn't. I mean, they do, the hospital that we went to did a really good job of telling you what you needed to do, how to do it, stuff like that. I mean, even
after the baby too.
Yeah. So, no, we I mean, if you feel like, having some of those classes, definitely, look into that. Take those if you want. I would say, just from my grasp of stuff, I think, something that maybe would have benefited us on our side was maybe like a breastfeeding one.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if I had a local option, and I'm not saying that we had a local option, but I just didn't feel comfortable going to that. It's not like I wouldn't ever take the classes. I feel like I would have. It wasn't the most convenient, so we didn't do it. I definitely think a breastfeeding class ahead of time would have been helpful. And I guess just like a birth class. I feel like I went in there blind and didn't really know what to expect. And I think that class would have been fine. The whole pregnancy piece would have been fine, but the birth would have been good.
Yeah, and then once we started getting, appointments and having sonogram appointments, stuff like that, just talking on some of those things, we had a really cool doctor. Jordan has a really cool OBGYN doctor. He's pretty chill. Even I liked him. So
yeah, I remember going to the first appointment and like this guy, I feel like I can trust with my unborn baby. He made me feel super comfortable the entire time. And I was born in that same hospital, and Corey was not. And I wanted an OB specifically, and I would go back to him I mean, I feel like if he moved even farther away, I'd still probably drive even farther to go see him. The importance, so having a doctor that you trust and that you feel like cares and listens to you is so important. And I've actually had friends that have had to change doctors for a variety of reasons. And it is okay to do that too. Just, I want you to make sure that you feel comfortable with the doctor that you have. And if you don't, it is okay to change.
Yeah. So, when we started getting into more appointments, obviously the closer the due date, the more you go. So it kind of with you working in your schedule and stuff, like is there any tips and tricks on how to do that?
I don't know how many times I've asked the ladies at the hospital or at the doctor's office, what's the latest appointment you have? Or what's the very earliest appointment you have? Going to the doctor an hour away from where you work can be kind of tricky. I was really more nervous about it at first because I am the type of person, like, I'm never gone from work. So being gone is hard. And then you kind of get to the point, the more appointments you go to, that you're like, whatever, you know what? If that's what works for you, I will make it work. My mentality has kind of changed. I love my job and work is important to me, but my baby comes first. And if I need to be gone, I need to be gone. So it is best to try to make it work around your schedule. If you have a lunch that maybe you could take an extended lunch period or get off earlier, come in later, that seems to be the best. If you happen to live in the town where your doctor is, it's probably a whole lot easier. For each of my appointments was a significant chunk of time to be gone, just for travel purposes too. And honestly, you never know how long your doctor's appointment is going to last. You don't know if you're going to get in right away. You will know if you're going to have your next appointment is going to be a sonogram or you're going to have blood work or anything like that. So your doctor should prepare you for that, to expect that it will be a little bit longer. But I just do whatever works for you, and your baby comes first. So yeah, it is what it is. You have to be gone, and there's no way around it.
Yeah, and I would say from the dad's side of it, with my work, I travel a lot across a wide range, and I mean there was times in my schedule that I would be able to hit those appointments. Definitely hit every sonogram appointment. I would suggest
you didn't miss one.
If any of them, I would definitely hit those up because those I feel like are the bigger ones. I was there on your sugar test one there.
Yes.
So like anything big,
you would go to the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Also the very first appointment too, if you have, your significant other, husband, the father is involved, that first appointment is super fun because you can't hear the heartbeat, that first one, but you can see it, right? You can't hear the heartbeat, but you can see it moving. You can see its little heart moving on that first sonogram. And that's so special when you have all that news and you finally get to see, oh my gosh, it's real. It's true. Like there really is a baby growing inside of me. It's a fun experience.
Yes. And yeah, you kind of get a solidarity of, hey, there's a reason two lines were on that test too. Mm-hmm. So no, it's definitely good. And then as they grow bigger, you start to see more body parts. You get to see little arms flailing around.
You can hear the heartbeat.
Yes, yeah, things of that sort.
It moving. Yeah.
One of Jordan's biggest deals when we were there, since we first figured out that we were not finding out, is she did not want somebody to slip up in a hospital, and it was definitely an obsession because everywhere we went,
anybody, any employee.
I mean, everywhere. And some people, even including myself, as I talk to some people, that are pregnant or whatever, sometimes you say he, she, even if they don't know, you just say it.
It just slips up.
It's natural. Oh, but Jordan was just like, oh, she was on it. If somebody even remotely faintly slipped up or said a he or a she there or something, they just did it. I mean, it's natural to talk that way. You don't necessarily talk of it as a it or a thing, you know.
And some of those people, they had said, you know, everybody is a he to me. I have 3 boys, so every baby is a he. And so that makes me feel better. I was definitely a little obsessive about that. We're not finding out. I just didn't want it to slip up. If I was going to find out, I'd rather have, you know, a gender reveal than to have some employee in the doctor's office slip up and tell me what my baby is. I would probably be very irritated, and you would hear it from me.
I would definitely try to make you believe that
probably would.
They were messing with you.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that about wraps up this one. You know, we talked kind of on the appointments. You know, we this is just more of an introduction one. We did want to kind of talk about our pregnancy journey a little bit. We're going to get much more depth with that one coming up. You know, so next episode, just
get
kind
your
of
feet wet a little bit this time.
Yes. So as we sum this one up, the next episode is going to be more definitely on the pregnancy journey. So, you know, as you get from that positive test, the emotions start rising. And definitely we're gonna be talking about Jordan's pregnancy a little bit more. She's gonna have a little more input on that one, because unfortunately or fortunately, I didn't carry the kids. So we'll be prying into that on the next episode.
So stay tuned.
Definitely want to thank you guys for listening, and hopefully you guys, wherever you're at, have a good evening, night, or morning. Thank you very much.